Lobbying and interest groups, the extent to which lobbying has been tolerated in the ANC has only been through conference sessions. What has been proven to be a challenge is the lobbying process engineered by clandestine factionalism which destabilizes the organization. The fact that people have got the interest to stand and to be elected in the organization, it should not be a taboo. It should be allowed, and we must unban this thing of people doing things clandestine, and at the same time, the negative lobbying that include dispensing of patronage and all the dangers we have warned about in terms of the presentation above. Act number 4, Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliaments and Provincial Legislatures, Act of 2004, could be amended to regulate private sector lobbyists, be promoting a certain individual for office or for regulation, laws, policies of state. Internal lobbying of ANC members, leaders or structures to require our internal arrangements to enable ethics and code of conduct regulations be put in place to remove this practice from dark corners and possibilities of being corrupted. The perception that lobbying is prohibited creates favorable grounds for destructive factionalism and accusations of corruption or capture. Factionalism has become an integral part of the organizational culture. Its clandestine nature makes it a parallel activity that is beyond reproach. Efforts should be made at regularizing lobby or interest groups' activity within the organization. We have been dealing with these issues over 2 decades. Secretary General Kgalema Motlanthe talks about this question in our first General Council that was held in Port Elizabeth. In today's organizational renewal and design, we're no longer paying lip service to that. We must acknowledge the fact that factionalism is actually with us. And how to exercise it, it means we must deepen democracy in the African National Congress and not make it a clandestine thing and so on, whilst not undermining the principles of democratic centralism. Enhancement of information technology infrastructure, a one-stop ANC portal infrastructure we propose should be rolled out to reconnect the ANC to the people and membership. It must contain all relevant policy and other documents. It should have a page where members, cadres, and supporters can advise or express their views on various matters. It must have a team of dedicated administrators who can provide a personalized service. An informed and ideological grounded ANC cadre. This being a decade of a cadre, the National Policy Conference must reflect on the progress made so far in relation to that. There is a general confusion that is as a result of a departure from the vocabulary or lexicon of the movement. Even senior or perceived to be members of the ANC and Alliance get caught up in situations where we use neoliberal phrases is common and denials of ANC policy positions, thus the lexicon erupts. The ANC has a policy of radical economic transformation. It is ANC policy. The ANC recognizes that monopoly capital of whatever kind or race is not desirable and cannot be accepted as it constrains the economy from growth and radical innovation. The ANC sees free competition as key to the success of the economy and its growth towards the set targets in the National Developmental Plan. White monopoly capital in particular has been in ANC lexicon since its founding in 1912. The blurring of lines and political amnesia is mostly nefarious and ideological dissonance. Our forebears, Pixley Kaisaga Sem, Anton Limbede, Tumanoke, Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, individually developed the political economics analysis over the speciality of the South African question, identifying in exact words white monopoly capital as a primary political food to the movement and its people, As such, the struggle against monopoly capital is on from various fronts, including state institutions at all fronts, including the Competition Commission. But the strategy and tactics of the African National Congress from Polokwane, which is under review in this conference, talks about monopoly capital as the enemy of the national democratic revolution. To an extent, we characterize in the means of production, locate white monopoly capital in the historical evolution from apartheid economy to transforming that economy to in the developmental state. We make reference to that, but in our strategy, we recognize that we cannot do as a multi-class ideological organization without monopoly capital. Hence, we characterize our relationship as unity and struggle of the opposite. For us to transform the economy, we introduce BEE, which BEE, in terms of government policy, has actually benefited at most from those who hold the means of production racially over a period of time. And part of the criticism of BEE, among others, is the negative element of fronting, that it has not been what the National Democratic Revolution seeks to create, which is the new black bourgeoisie and the petty bourgeoisie. To an extent that we can talk about African black capitalist is debatable, and the economy is still owned by the few and white monopoly capital. The extent that those who defend themselves and want to use the terminology in their Stratcom arrangement does not mean that as a liberation movement we can abandon the jargon for political expediency. We must be, however, conscious of the fact that we draw the line in what we characterize. And that makes us to be principled and understand where we are going as a movement, and not abandon our lexicon simply because others want to use it to achieve narrow gains and achievements. The opening of the South African market to international business is important. Various studies on the value of black economic empowerment have placed the total value of this transaction from 1994 to 2016 on a range between 380 billion to 440 billion. The property sector in South Africa is valued over 8 trillion, inclusive of agriculture. Though our work streams in the national policy and structures is segmented into various categories for ease of reference. In this breath, organizational renewal requires that the ANC delivers on the apartheid reparations, and the decolonization of the academia, education and culture is located under that which is causing great anxieties. We further make further proposals in the review of that must take into account the current structural design of the ANC. Party constitutional structures. There is a proposal that in the organizational design, the ANC must expand the top six of the ANC in its current. So that is debatable and will be deferred to the constitutional review for debate in the structures of the movement. It didn't only come from the Youth League, but it came also from the structures who did not attach names in relation to that, and the provinces in the debating discussion. So in the organizational design, we are considering that as well. ANC Parliamentary Caucus. We're looking and proposing that the Parliamentary Caucus of the ANC, whereas we understand that it has got no power to take decisions, but it must find expression in the constitution of the African National Congress. The Integrity Commission must also find expression in the constitution of the ANC. It is now constituted by our elders who are supposed to summon us, but it has got no constitutional powers. It's like having the hawks without the powers to subpoena people. So we are proposing that the Integrity Commission must have the powers without subjecting itself to the will and the control of the ANC National Executive Committee or any other structure to subpoena people who are implicated in whatever thing that they are implicated on to account. And they must take decisions in relation to the account given to them on the issues that individuals have raised. In that particular context, the Integrity Commission will have the teeth and the tooth to bite in relation to the issues and whatever corruption or misgivings and ill-disciplined members of the ANC might actually face in the organization. That goes for legislative caucuses, and also we say that they must equally find expression in the Constitution and council caucuses. Like it is with the executive, the center of power must be affirmed uncategorically as the ANC. There must be no ambiguity or openness to correspondence in this regard. The ANC is the center of power in the revolution. Our system and structural design must not be conflated with neoliberal Western system of individualism politics. The ANC is diametrically and ideologically opposed to liberal politics. Our oversight, monitoring, and evaluation of the executive, parliament, legislatures, and local government council will be conducted through centralized control from the center. In conclusion, we argue that the ANC remains the leader in the process for social change.